Hey guys, hello Bella, and in this video we're going to be talking about ChatGPT. This is a powerful chatbot that you can use to make your life easier, to outsource things, to come up with lists of things, to condense information. There are so many ways that you can use this little AI robot basically to help you ease things in your life and save you a lot of time. So in the video we're going to talk about 10 things that you can do with this chatbot. I do want to say that there are some limitations, of course. You should always fact check all of the information that you're getting, and it only has data up until about 2021, and it is also in very high demand right now. They currently have a free option for it, but I think that very soon it's going to be something that requires a subscription fee because so many people want to use it and so many people are, using it to make their jobs easier, using it to save time. I am learning this tool. I will say I'm not a technology-based person, but I do make a living online and I make a living from my laptop, so I feel like that makes me slightly qualified to talk about it. And I just feel like, this thing is really, it's intuitive and it's smart, and while there are some quirks about it that you have to kind of figure out, I think it's easy for anybody to figure out ways to implement this ChatGPT in their everyday life. One example I'll give you is that I told my mom about it last week, and she actually is a nurse, and she typed in create a nursing intervention plan for a diabetic patient, and it gave her a whole list of things that she could tell her patient, and she said it was, it was factually accurate, and she said it would save so much time in the medical community. So I thought that that was a really interesting way of using ChatGPT. So the first thing that you can do is you can use it to create a job resume. You can give it information about a job that you're applying to, and you can say, write a job resume based on this information or based on this job posting. You can do revisions on it. You can include, you can ask it to include your credentials. You can even ask it to write a cover letter for you for a particular job. And I think it's important to note that obviously it's going to write it out for you, but you need to go over it with the human eye. I think that's what people are missing with this. Obviously, it's not going to be able to think exactly like a human, but it can do a lot of the work. I would go so far as to say it can do 80% of the work for you. So it's basically like having a very high-powered personal assistant at your fingertips. The second thing that it can do is if you give it a list of ingredients, it can create meals out of that. So say you only have a few things in your pantry and you want to create a meal out of that, you can say, I have X ingredients, can you tell me a meal that I can make out of this? And it will literally give you step-by-step instructions for what you can make out of those particular ingredients. So if you're like me and you're not like a super chef or anything like that, I think it can be a really cool way to use ChatGPT. The third thing that it can do is it can take text and then create a certain reading level for it. So if you have academic text, you can ask ChatGPT to turn it into 6th grade reading level material. If that is something, if you're a teacher, you can also ask it to take some of your more rudimentary writing and then ask it to create an academic style paper out of it. So obviously there are a lot of issues when it comes to plagiarism and cheating, so I don't really condone that, but I mean, at the end of the day, what were we writing all of those college papers for in the first place? To me, it just felt like busy work. It felt like a waste of time. So if you can use this tool to kind of save some time and kind of help you outline your essays, I think it's really cool for that. But just being able to take something that is essentially in one reading level and then move it to the other reading level where it's understandable, I think is a really cool way to use it, because your audience really matters. Who you're speaking to matters. So if you're, if you have a teaching channel or a tutoring channel and you have really, really difficult information that is hard for the average person to understand, being able to essentially dumb it down is a really good tool to have in your arsenal. The fourth thing that it can do is it can help you learn a language. It can actually converse back and forth with you. If you say, I want you to act as my Spanish tutor and I want you to start from the basics and to teach me some phrases that I can learn if I'm traveling. I mean, it's really cool that you're able to do this, because some of the apps that are allowing you to do this charge you a monthly fee for that. So that's a free option for you to help learn a language. And I think that it's so cool that it remembers what you said. So if you're in the same chat session, you can kind of go back and forth with it for a while. I know someone said that they were talking to it for like 8 hours, so I don't recommend making ChatGPT your new best friend, because I think that's a little weird. If you've seen the movie Her, you know that I think that could get out of hand pretty quickly. But being able to learn a language, or even just kind of being like, what are some phrases that would help me if I visit this country, and being able to learn that before you go is a really powerful opportunity. I think you learn a little bit better by going back and forth with somebody in that language, like being able to converse with them. So this is a really cool way to learn a new language. So the fifth thing that you can do is you can take a video and then you can get the transcript from that video. So say you're required to watch a lecture for your class. You can go on YouTube and ask for the transcript, then copy and paste that transcript, and then say, write me a bullet point list of the most important parts of this video, and then you don't have to watch the whole hour video. I believe this would also work for popular literature and things like that, popular movies. Obviously, it doesn't have every single thing that's ever been created. Some people were saying it could pretty well summarize parts of Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, so that's a really promising that it has so much information already, because I assume they're going to continue training it and continue improving it. And I mean, honestly, I think it might be worth it to get the paid version eventually when it comes out, but right now I'm just trying to learn what I can with the free version. But being able to kind of take a lot of information and condense it is very, very crucial when you're studying, or when you're trying to learn a new trade, or you're trying to, I guess, gather information. It can be really helpful, because one of the problems I think when you do a Google search is that you can be overwhelmed with information and you don't necessarily know what all the sources are, and some of it is, you know, ads and opinion-based things. And so being able to have a condensed answer for something is going to be very valuable as we go forward with technology. The sixth thing that it can do is it can help you write like formulaic style letters, or like an obituary or a eulogy. And I know that that's really dark, but I read on Reddit that someone had used it to write his mother's obituary. And let's face it, like most obituaries are pretty formulaic. They all sound the same. And when you're grieving, you don't really want to have to think about it. And so I felt like that little tool could just kind of take some of the burden off of people. I mean, there's a lot of other types of formula style letters that you could use it to write. Like I said, cover letters before. If you're making like a formal complaint, I think it could be really useful for that, because you want to sound as professional as possible. If you are putting something in writing for your job, for example, you're requesting time off, it could work for that as well. I think there's just a lot of possibilities when it comes to helping you write that type of letter with ChatGPT. The seventh thing that it can do is it can translate programming languages. And obviously this is a time-consuming thing to do. I'm not going to even pretend to know about any of that, because I am, you know, really not skilled in that. But as I understand it, you know, as you're going from different languages, you're having to change all of these lines of code, and it can also find bugs within your code and fix them. So if you are, you know, trying to spend an hour looking for an error, it's much faster to just ask this little robot, hey, what's the error in this line of code? And then it can help you out with that. So some people are even using it to make their job easier. I saw where one guy had said that his job time basically has been cut in half, because he's able to use ChatGPT now to figure out all these errors within the things that he's doing. So, I mean, it's really promising. It's kind of scary to think about like how much our jobs are going to change in the future just based on the technology that we have. But I think people are comparing ChatGPT to being one of the most popular like things on the internet since like social media. And ChatGPT is just one of the many AI chatbots. Obviously, I think Google is working on something right now, and there's a lot of other, you know, platforms that you could potentially use AI to answer questions, and I think some of them are a little bit more specifically tailored. But right now, you know, this is something that I find very exciting as a small business owner, because one of the coolest things for me is like being able to delegate things. When you're able to delegate, it saves you time and money, and so I can invest that resource in myself instead of having to spend all of this time like going out and doing all these things that I don't really like to do. I can kind of use ChatGPT to my advantage to save a little bit of effort. So the eighth thing that it can do is it can change your writing tone. So if you have a particular body of text, say you've written it and you want to say, can you change this to be more emotionally appealing? Can you change this to be more of an academic style? Can you change this to be funnier? Can you write jokes and include them in this content? It's really capable of adding kind of like a specific flair if you're going for a certain style. That's one thing that, you know, you don't really think about, but as an advertiser or as a marketer, one of the things that they tell you is to just know your audience. So if your audience is, 13-year-old girls, you're going to speak very differently to how you would speak to, for example, 40-year-old men. So I think that that's kind of cool that it can change the tone that you are speaking and writing in. The ninth thing that it can do is you can use it to set goals or milestones. So for example, if you are like a project manager, I think that this tool would be really useful for you. But if you're trying to set for example, like a 90-day goal, ask ChatGPT to give you a breakdown on a week-by-week basis of how you can achieve your 90-day goal. And you'll be really surprised at what it can come up with. And then you can fine-tune that. You can fine-tune your goal. You can ask it to give you daily activities that you need. And you can really just kind of play with it a little bit. But I think it's really cool because one of the things that I do monthly is I sit down and kind of analyze like, okay, what do I need to work on this month? What do I need to be focused on? Having that reverse engineering to see how I could be spending my time would be super helpful. So that is something that I'm going to be using it for. The 10th thing that it can do is it can imitate like the tone of a person. Like for example, I asked it to write me a motivational speech in the tone of David Goggins because I didn't really feel like doing my workout. Here you can see the example of where I asked it to write the speech, and it kind of popped out this in like 3 seconds. It's just amazing at what it can do. And I was kind of laughing about it, but I actually did wind up doing my workout because I was so motivated by the text. So it's kind of cool that you can do that. I know it probably won't work for like every celebrity or every character, but it'd be kind of interesting to just be like, can you put in like Peter Griffin from Family Guy and see if it will give you a line of text from him? Can you use popular superheroes? Can you use authors, for example? And so this is another one of those things where I think AI gets tricky because people get upset about plagiarism or copyright or IP or things like that. But as far as the internet goes, I don't think that it's going anywhere in terms of like people taking things from other people. Things are rapidly evolving, and so one of the things that I try to focus on is like, how can I use this to positively impact my life, and how can I use it to make money, of course. And I'm not going to tell you that you can use ChatGPT to make $1,000 a day or whatever the other videos are talking about, because I don't think that's really realistic, but I do think that you can use ChatGPT to potentially save you time and money, because ultimately time is money, especially if you're a small business owner or a creator, and you can use this for a lot of different things. I would be curious to see how many of the big YouTubers are currently using this to write scripts for their YouTube videos, because personally, I like to do bullet point lists when I do my scripts, and so it just kind of keeps me on track. I don't read from a script because I feel like it's kind of dry and it just is not really fitting with my personality. But I'm curious to see how many people will start using this to kind of make scripts for YouTube and TikTok. Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video about ChatGPT. I am super excited to play with it some more. I feel like the fact that it is overloaded with people wanting to use it is a sign to how popular it's going to be. I don't feel like a lot of people are really talking about it, and I don't feel like a lot of people know about it. So being early to entry here is going to be kind of important when it comes to the learning curve, because, if we spend 100 hours playing with it before people even know about it, we're definitely going to have a competitive edge when it comes to how to use it in our business. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. I'm so excited to see where this goes, and I will catch you guys in the next video.